Welcome back. You're watching The Daily Report with my guest, the Honorable Rep Njeri Maina, the woman representative for Kirinyaga County, who is also an advocate of the High Court of Kenya and a commissioner for oaths. Thank you for staying with us, Mahesh.
Thank you.
And over the weekend, we did see you somewhere engaging in quite an interesting, what would be cultural activity, and a famous Kikuyu dance. I mean, what was that all about? It was an event, yes, but a lot has come up, after that.
I'm laughing already because I knew what you were referring to.
Yeah.
So it was RMS, Royal Media Services. They have a station called Inoro FM. And they had a cultural dance. It's called Ngogoyo in Kikuyu. And the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, graced the occasion. And I happened to do a few steps. There's a way of people say it. You do 2 steps and then you break the leg. So basically, that is the dance that we did with the Deputy President.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and there's been so much reaction about it, and especially looking at the whole conversation of the Central Kenya, Mount Kenya region.
Yeah.
What do you make of the talks for unity that has been going on?
Well, there's no other way around it. Mount Kenya, and I have said time and time again, we can never divide our vote, because once we divide our vote, then we are also weakening our push for collectively the interest of the Central Kenya region. And with the entry of Azimio, of course they're saying it's not Azimio, it's ODM, into government, there's this whole play of different cards of politics.
Yes.
Coming to mind for me in 2027. So Mount Kenya has to rethink its politics, and also, I say in politics, they're not permanent friends or permanent enemies. It's just the way of politics. It's politicking. It is the nature of the profession. So for me, it is very critical for Mount Kenya to remain united, so that whatever direction we will take in 2027 will be a direction that most favors the people of Mount Kenya region in terms of development agenda.
And of course, by the our SMS line is 22047. Our WhatsApp number will be on your screens as well. Her X handle is at hon_Njeri_Maina, or at TV47 News. I'm at George Maringa_ for your feedback, your questions to the Honorable Woman Rep here. And Kenyans have had quite some opinion regarding the seat of woman representative. In a nutshell, if you could re-educate them, what exactly do you guys do?
One, I believe that when we inaugurated the 2010 Constitution, there wasn't enough public participation, or rather civic education, in regard to what the county woman member to the National Assembly seat entails. I must remind them that it is actually an affirmative seat. Parliament has been declared, even up to this point, not to be properly constituted, because the Constitution that we passed in 2010 provides that there must be gender parity. And there's the 2/3 provision that one gender cannot be more than 2/3. And that is how the county woman member to the National Assembly seat came about, as an affirmative seat to also propel, or rather show that women can lead, because our system of voting is based on patriarchy. And if you remember the division of roles, the woman was supposed to stay at home, have babies, look after them. The man is the one who's working. So this is a very progressive provision. And also, there wasn't an explanation of the budget allocation for the county woman member to the National Assembly, or rather woman rep, as people call it. And if you recall, the woman rep is supposed to cater for youth, women, and PWD, and special interest groups. So of course we have this vast constituency of people to represent, but I can shock you, George, that in my constituency of Ndia, I get a yearly allocation of 9 million per financial year. The single constituency member of parliament gets 159 million. So there's a huge disparity in terms of resources and how much my office can do. And given the vast constituency it's supposed to cater for. You know, it is such a broad term. You say youth, it's everyone below 35 years constitutionally. You know, you say women, it's every woman basically. You say special interest groups. And all these are supposed to be catered for under the 9 million Kenya shillings. So what county MPs normally focus on, because of the mega funding, normally they focus on economic empowerment initiatives with women chamas. George, I think you come from Kirinyaga County.
Yes, I do.
So you make sure that if your mom has a chama and I haven't funded them through the office, they should make that application for the board to decide whether they qualify. So when I came in as a county MP, and I want to speak this because it's something that is verifiable.
Yes, yes.
I decided that I wanted to focus on economic empowerment and education. The education program that we run is not just giving bursaries to children. We have a program called Tupange Kesho. We give full scholarships to kids who have no parents, total orphans, and special interest, or PWD, children. We also go above and beyond and offer within the same program a mentorship program for them. We have a file for every child that is under our scholarship program. Every time they sit for exams, there's a board that reviews their performance. If, say, the child had a C in the last term, gets a D plus or D minus, or rather any lower as a grade, there's a counselor who sits with them. And we also have a spiritual leader who talks to them, because these kids go through so much. And I figured that above and beyond just giving a scholarship and, you know, just going to the periphery, it is important to also cater for children who have needs beyond just the mere scholarship we give. We also have an economic empowerment program for women's and youth groups. We have funded over 150 groups in Kirinyaga County. The minimum funding, because of the budget constraints and the vote head, because the program for kids has a vote head, the economic empowerment has a vote head of 20% of the 9 million. We have funded at least, the very least, 100,000 Kenya shillings. That is a very good amount for most of the women at the grassroots level. They do table banking, they do goat rearing, they do chicken rearing, they do value addition for their honey. So that is the way we support communities in a small but very integral way. We also have a social welfare program. You find that at the communal level, we have the welfare programs for burying members of the community who've departed. So we also have, we assist them, maybe acquire any material support that they need for the social welfare program, like tents, seeds, because I think if you come from Kirinyaga, you know that at Mashinani, even like getting a tent for people to assemble is a very, sometimes for the marginalized parts like Moya, it can be quite tricky for some families who are really poor.
Really poor. Indeed, and you know, there are some questions, of course, we'll be getting to your feedback. Thank you for sending
And of course we legislate. You know, people think we don't legislate. We legislate like any other MP.
Okay, so then when you look at the efficacy of this affirmative action, do you then think that we will get to a position where, in as much as the Constitution provides that there will be 47 seats for the female gender, shall we get to a place where we will then get to a 2/3 gender rule compliance? Because remember, even the former Chief Justice said that Parliament needs to be disbanded.
Do I see it
do you see
in the near future?
In the near future?
I don't see it in the foreseeable future because we're still a long way from believing in women leadership. But we have had a good transition of women reps who've transitioned to other seats like governor. We have, of course, don't say it's, let me not even give that example. Anyway. No, I have another example. We have the governor for Homa Bay,
Yeah.
right? She was a woman representative.
Okay.
We have Martha Wangari. She's now a single constituency MP. She was a woman representative.
Okay.
We have, no, she was nominated, sorry. We have another honorable member who also went from, we have Wanjiko Mohia. She's a member of parliament for Kipipiri. She was a woman rep. So these seats were supposed to be affirmative in a way that they were fashioned to sort of mentor women leaders to also now transition to other elective positions where they actually compete with men. But do I see, it actually has a sunset clause. So after the next term, then that was when the county MP seat, rather the constitution thought that we would have transitioned to actually voting in women. And I have always said that even from a personal perspective as a feminist, I would only back women who are worth backing. I don't believe that we should just get something just because we're women, okay? But then there's a way that the patriarchal system and the institutional failures have also been a barrier to women getting into elective seats and competing with men competitively.
Okay.
But then if the Kenyans say that they do want the county MP seat to go away, I mean, George, it is very progressive from my standpoint, and it is a good seat to mentor women to go to other elective positions where they compete. But also, I mean, it is within their rights to call for an initiative under the popular initiative referendum, amend the constitution, have a stream-down government, and things move on.
Move on. You come from a county, you rather represent a county that is also headed by a female leader. How is your relationship with Governor Waiguru?
So, well, let me say that, anyway, I wanted to say that you do come from my county, so, but I understand. I do not have a relationship per se with the governor of Kirinyaga County that is to talk about, I think where we left things last time, last year, there was an incident.
Yes.
They're just there. It's very frosty. We don't talk. And it's quite unfortunate, because when I came into leadership, I thought that, the older women who've been there, some of them old enough to be my mothers, would be people who are just really holding my hand. But I think there's politics for women is really competitive. And, people look at you as this young, flashy, you're all over the place, you're brilliant, like you've come to sort of take their space. But then they also forget that you have to pass the baton at the end of the day. And the space, if it's enough for men, it's also enough for women. But I do sympathize and sort of have some grace towards the way they feel, because it is the way the system has conditioned them to think. And I have never felt entitled to any mentorship or support from the older women in politics, because, I'm someone who knows how to get around. And at the end of the day, you have to do what you have to do.
You have to do what you have to do. Then looking at the other day, we saw you all at State House with the president. What were you discussing?
Oh, yeah. That was a very different sort of discussion.
Okay.
We're just looking at the agenda for Kirinyaga County and the development plan, the projects that have been launched, the ones that have maybe stalled, the ones that have funding, the ones that maybe need a bit more lobbying to the president, and just pushing for the greater good of Kirinyaga County.
And there's some feedback here. The Fields production, he says, as a Kirinyaga County resident, I must admit that our leader has done a tremendous job to reach the grassroots under the Tupange Kesho program and the M&K Foundation. Which one is that? That is giving full scholarships and mentorship programs to our students and women economic empowerment funding. Hongera Mheshimiwa Philip Murimi from Kirinyaga.
Oh, that is the program I was telling you I'm very proud about, where we go above and beyond. So basically, GAF helps with the scholarship, and then the foundation that is self-funded helps with, the other maybe extra material needs or any other sort of facilitation.
Facilitation.
Yes.
Indeed. There's a question from Doesn't state, Cornelius, he says, thanks for the show. Ask Mheshimiwa Njeri, in fact, there are two questions. One, what happens with the good things that were in the finance bill, given that she decided to vote no? Could she not have suggested 4 amendments before voting?
One, what I can say is that Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya says sovereign power belongs to the people. Okay. So as a representative of the people, I offer my opinion, but I also exercise consultation with the people of Kirinyaga County. And maybe perhaps what was quite defeatist for the finance bill is that we did not communicate effectively to the people of Kenya where we were at and what we wanted to do and why we were doing it. So you find that in politics, you lose that public trust, you know. And once you lose the public trust, then it becomes hard for you to try to walk people through the journey or tell them, well, we are doing this because of X, Y, Z. So for me, the reason I voted no is because I consulted the people of Kirinyaga County. Not 1, not 2. I held more than 6 meetings across the county. And resoundingly, they said that they had no interest whatsoever in me voting yes for the finance bill because, like I've said, at the end of the day, it has to be exercised in consultation with the people who voted for me. So the positive things that were in the finance bill, I feel that as the Kenya Kwanza administration, we failed when we did not communicate effectively. We failed when we put things like, you know, tax for diapers, surely. You know, it was quite self-defeatist, if you ask me.
Okay.
So we lost that public perception. And it was just really hard to even try to tell people that, you know, we're going to amend this. And then people are like, no, you guys are lying. You're going to put some things in between. Because public trust is something very critical for any administration and politics.
Okay. Cornelius, the second question he asks, what is she doing given that unemployment is a time bomb in our country? Has she ever thought of having a bill in parliament to make systems of employment be fair and as transparent enough in both public and private service? Does she acknowledge the fact that public service recruitment is toxic? If she does, what's her take given she's accessible to the head of state for review it and ensure sanity is or even an overhaul before it explodes? Quite a mouthful.
Yeah, that's good. I wanted to say quite a number of questions there, but very good questions. And first, I think I have explained just how hard it is to even get a bill to first reading on the floor of parliament. And you see the time span is 5 years. So if you do not get the bill done by then, the next time you actually have to restart the process again. So normally what we have done is we have motions and statements on the floor. It is the fastest way to engage on the floor of parliament. He talked about recruitment and unfair recruitment. The time there was an issue about KRA recruitment. As KYPA, we tabled a motion, we discussed it. The time there was an issue about remember the company that was taking some screening, eye screening, what was the name?
Yeah, that one that was doing the...
Yes, that one that people said is taking people to heaven. That one. We have also, as KYPA, tabled a motion in regard to return of Kazi Mtaani, which the president has said will now be returning to at least alleviate. You know, it isn't conclusively solving the issue of unemployment, but at least it's something that shows that we really do have the goodwill as a government. Okay.
Does the president need to continue making more promises? Because we've seen what he said at the county of Tharaka Nithi, county number 13, went to the coast. We even saw guys on X saying the president needs to stop making more promises and implement whatever he promised in his manifesto and whatever has been promised so far. What do you take of that?
Oh, but he is. You know, we have the housing program. It is ongoing. It was a big agenda of the Kenya Kwanza government. We have SCHIF, right? The courts just really put some brakes on it, but the government was actually intending to fully implement universal health coverage. We have the digital hubs. You know, the president has actually launched some, but then because they're supposed to be done with the single constituency members of parliament, there's a bit of delay in execution of it. Any politician, George, is a dealer in hope. It is a currency of politics. So if the president comes to Kirinyaga County tomorrow, right? He knows we don't have maybe roads, water. He's going to promise that they're going to come. Because if we do not promise our people that good things will happen, I mean, we leave them to despair.
For a government that has, made several promises, do you think then that the question here is, I mean, these things sound grandiose in many people's heads and in Kenyans' minds, really. And the question here is they do not feel the money in their pockets, and that has been a concern. The digital hubs, the Hustler Fund, there are programs, yes, the government initiated, but the end result of money in people's pockets is where there is a problem. Don't you think there is a disconnect? And that's where Kenyans are feeling like there is still no connection with this government.
And I think I also admitted that there's a bit of a disconnect in the way we are passing the message and what is being implemented. Because sometimes, let's say, the president has promised a digital hub in Kirinyaga County. It is upon the member of parliament of that constituency to follow up and ensure they have a digital hub. I'll give you a good example. We have a digital hub in a constituency called Kirinyaga Central. Recently, we had an Ajira digital program that I lobbied for on behalf of the young people of Kirinyaga that has supported around 200 young people with short-term contracts of transcription jobs from the law courts that we have, 200 youths. And then we have a program that we call SIGNET. It's a partnership with Equity, my office and Equity. Okay. And it's running for 4 months where we're equipping the youths with skills. Not everyone got a grade that can take them to an institution of higher learning. Yeah. And then now after the 4 months, Equity has actually committed that they will be giving seed capital. And my office will also be giving a grant. So I think when the president promises, it is upon the leaders to also ensure that they follow up on implementation. The president does not implement most of these things. I mean, we also have to cut him some slack.
All right. When you look at now, as we enter the home stretch, when you look at the new CSs that have come in, the president has said even those who have been reappointed are coming under new terms. Does this, in your opinion, inspire confidence, in the way forward, especially with the CS nominees, because that seems to be a thorn in the flesh?
What I can say is that at least I do not sit in that vetting committee. So hakuna salamu zitanipata. And I would not want to preempt the report that the committee is going to table, because I mean they're my colleagues, and it would be bad to, unbecoming of me, to paint them in bad light. Let us wait for the report they will table on the respective CSS. I know members of public are also going to submit memoranda, and then we can weigh the facts when they're presented to us on the floor of the House in terms of a report. Because if I were to impugn any motive, I would be painting the members of the committee in bad light and also judging them from a very biased perspective.
Oh, okay. Some more feedback has come in on our WhatsApp. Rep Njeri Maina is a leader truly delivering on her campaign promises and a clear to Pange Kesho program. Keep the spirit, Mahesh. Joseph watching from Inoi, Kirinyaga. Millie from Kirinyaga. Honorable Njeri Maina is boosting community spirit in Kirinyaga by donating 100-seater tents and chairs to local welfare groups. She's really overworking. She's a milk of lions. By the way, are you still...
I'm still milking the lions, When I have enough milk, I'm going to share with you.
You're going to share. Okay, brilliant. So looking at the overview and the lay of the land of the country, politically, economically, socially, what would you like to see? And perhaps you can even speak to Kenyans and in the wake of these demonstrations and realization and the awakening of Article 1 of the Constitution.
I think I'd really want to see a Kenya that is also holding itself accountable as citizenry and taking responsibility for the leadership that we have. And we must never forget that true sovereignty belongs to the people of Kenya. And myself and other leaders who were elected, we only exercise it on behalf of the people of Kenya. And the people of Kenya must never truly give away their power. They must always ensure that they are able to have the moral high ground of holding their leaders accountable. And that is why I insist we must do away with the politics of tokenism. We must weigh the leaders. We must weigh their intellectual capacity. We must weigh their integrity. We must weigh their accountability. We must weigh their track record, if any, if they're persons of advanced age, so that we can also at least know that when we take the wrong direction, it is because we are the ones who put those people in power.
Indeed. What's your forecast after 2027?
You've asked me that before. You know, you asked me immediately after I was sworn in. And my focus, like I said, George, is to defend the seat that I currently hold. But I always say in politics, you keep the options open because you just never know. But I have always felt that I would not want to rush. And in politics, it is the people that tell you it is about time.
About time. Brilliant indeed. That has been the Honorable Rep Njeri Maina, the woman rep for Kirinyaga County, who is also an advocate of the High Court and Commissioner for Oaths in this country. Thank you so much for speaking to us. We look forward to having another conversation in the near future, and of course hoping that your bills will go through.
Thank you for having me. Of course, you know, given that you come from my home county.
This was a payback.
This is a payback.
Indeed. Thank you so much. I am George Maringa. Thank you so much for watching the Daily Report. As always, stay safe and be kind to one another. I'll see you tomorrow.